Yeah, absolutely. So they're two different things. So that family feel and all that becomes part of your culture and core value, right? All of that is, treat your employees well and they're going to treat your customers well. I mean, your employees are your number one customer, right? So you treat them well. However, numbers help numbers show you where you're at. Can it be explained? Like, for instance, I could take two employees that are both doing a great job. One could drive more miles than another. One could produce more than another. Well, the one who drives more miles might be working a remote location, so he's driving more miles, so it's explained. His numbers don't look as well. He may not be producing as much work because he has all this drive time. Well, that's explained. But if my guy who's sitting close, running route work close, is driving a lot of miles and not get a lot of production done, that's a problem because his route is smaller, it's more condensed. He shouldn't be driving miles. He's wasting time, he's wasting fuel, he's being very unproductive. So things can be explained through the numbers. So it's what you're looking at. One of the questions that's coming up is, how would you structure an effective KPI to be a good benchmark? And that's a great question, Marie. Is what is it you're wanting to get done? Because there's that whole thing of what gets measured gets done. So if you're wanting to increase your close rate on sales, there's becomes a KPI you track. If you want to increase your revenue or have growth, you want to track revenue and be transparent as to what that revenue looks like and what that growth revenue looks like, so that that's something you track. If you have a problem losing business and you want to decrease the losses, you would track cancellations or business loss so that you can, do that. Or repeat customers. I think each business is a little bit different. But we always look at it as, what is it we want them to accomplish? And what is our minimum threshold for that? And then let's see if we can track that and be very transparent about it. So everybody sees it, their team members, their peers, and then competition occurs because everybody wants to succeed. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, gee, I think I'll fail today. It's, everybody wakes up and says, I hope I succeed today. I hope today's a great day. I mean, nobody thinks of losing, right? Or failing or whatever, I hope I walk into work and get fired. Who says that, right? So everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to achieve or get that good grade. And so I think it's, what are you wanting to get done? What do you want to get accomplished? And how can you create a KPI around that number?
So yeah, that is a very good question. And that is, I think a lot of people, so there's a couple of things here, right? I mean, with data, there's so many different things that you can measure, but it's kind of separating the wheat from the chaff, right? And the way I think of it is in terms of outcomes. What is the outcome that you want? And then if you can find the things that measure how you can get towards that outcome, that's what is the value. I mean, I built a business around it because trying to visualize what those outcomes are and how that correlates to the outcomes, I think, is all the difference in the world. But Sheri, I think you make a very good point. You need to have sort of what the end in mind is so that you can create those KPIs. So that brings up something else I wanted to ask you is, look, you have 10 companies that they sell widgets or they deliver widgets, they mow lawns, they provide pest control. On the surface, they're the same company, but the outcomes from each one of those companies could be slightly different, and that changes what you measure. Is that a true statement in your experience?
Yes. So in the pest industry, we all may measure some of the same things: growth, profit, sales numbers, closing rates. But then for somebody else, company A, it might be important to get podium reviews. So if they want to increase their podium reviews, create a KPI around it that helps them increase their online reviews versus the plug for podium. But yeah, I mean, what is it they're wanting to do? Or is it that they have a collection goal or reduction of receivables goal or number of phone calls you handle in an hour or what is it you're wanting the team to do? We have a lot of similarities, but each of us has a certain goal to achieve other little ancillary things. And so that's why, like with each position, start with one, but you could have up to 5 for that position. There are some positions that it's harder to come up with measurable things. It's just like, but they always say if you set a goal and it's measurable, then it's easier to attain versus this ambiguous thing. People need to know how to get there. And when you measure something, they can easily follow the steps to get there.
And I think, and I think this is kind of where you're going to this, and effectively and systematically communicating that to that employee, back to that 40%, right? Constantly telling them, hey, this is how you're performing. That doesn't actually disenchant the employee. It actually gets them to lean in, right?
Oh, it's the incentives of it. So it's just like, even if you're getting monthly financials, you're getting them a week or two after the month is over. So you're looking at historical data and what am I going to do to fix that? Right? I can't. It's been done. Where with KPIs, they should be current activities that you're doing and how you're going. So you need that information every day. I mean, even if you're only getting it once a week, it's not often enough to make a change, to that. So, I mean, in school, that's why teachers gave us tests, right? So we knew what our grade point average was throughout the whole quarter before we got report cards. So we had time to fix it. So you need that constant updating of where you are. So you're getting confirmation of the job well done.
So someone gave me a great explanation of what the difference between a dashboard and a scorecard is. And I think of scorecard as a report card that you got in school, right? A dashboard is kind of what you see in the car. It's real-time information as to what's happening right now. I'm driving 72 miles an hour, the speed limit's 25. I need to change things right now, right? Scorecard is, hey, I drove over the speed limit 70 miles an hour 7 times in the last week. Maybe I need to change that for next week.
Exactly.
So let's bring this back a little bit. We're all about business and blind spots here. I think there's a couple of different ones that I've heard, and it's just knowing your numbers is not about trying to beat people over the head with a stick. Knowing your numbers is about being able to lead more intentionally and more potently or more powerfully. Is that a good way to characterize that?
Yes, I think it's more intentionally, and then to get the results you want and to get the team to buy into. I mean, first of all, if you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get there?
Yeah,
right? And so if my team doesn't know where I want them to go, how are they going to get there? And it's not their fault they didn't get there if they don't know where they're supposed to get, right? So I've got to tell them where I want them to be and what measurements I want to measure them against so that I know they're performing well and they know they're performing well. So many business owners don't want to be transparent with their employees. And I think that transparency to a point, like I'm not going to share with them what my paycheck is. I don't think that's necessary. But I do want to share with them where the company's going and what the company revenue goals are and what the company profit goals are and what certain expenses should benchmark or their particular job position should be accomplishing. Because if we all get to that big company goal, we all win because everybody shares in the success of the business. A, we stay open. B, they have jobs, but they have the opportunity for promotions. They have the opportunity for bonuses. They have the opportunity for growth. They have the opportunity for learning. And, not everybody works for a paycheck. I think in some of the studies I've read, that's usually like number 4 or 5 on the list of why people work for a company and they're looking for something more. And so many people focus on the paycheck. It's not about the paycheck. It's about the environment and how they're treated and how rewarded they feel and how appreciated they are. And are they being successful and are they learning something?
I've always had this saying that I've used, and that is, I can pay people for their minds, but if I get their heart, I win.
Right.
And I feel like I actually did a post on LinkedIn recently about this. About his name was Joe. I used to work at a company. It was one of these .com companies. It was .com company. It was kind of going for the moon. And I decided one fine day that I wanted to start what happened to be my third company at the time. And Joe kind of leaned over into me and said, "You know what, Vinay, I really like you as an employee." Well, that made me feel fantastic. Number one, he's like, "I don't want to lose you. How about this? I'm going to make you a deal. I'm going to let you work here part time, and I'm actually going to cut your salary just only 40%. So you still have money to like, subsist with, but I want you to go start your company." It's like, what? Well, that was 22 years ago. I still revere Joe Bose as a fantastic man because of that. Uh, I worked my tail off. The half time I was there, I probably put out more than I did as a full time employee because he got me in feeling into that. And I think that's just sort of what you're saying here, right? It's leaning into the people, investing in your people.
Oh, I mean, there's nothing more valuable than your people. Good people are hard to find.
Hmm.
People